Testing 1 2 1 2 1 2. Don't forget about the music. Lower the music or stop it or something.
People like the tunes, man. They like the song. They should like it.
It's a banger, I know. But I think last time we left it on, and it was weird because it was over our voice.
No way.
No, not all the whole time, but it was a little bit chaotic.
Somebody. I remember somebody saying something, and they were like, "Oh shit." Okay.
Stop the music!
Stop the press or the music, but the press sounds better, you know. 'Cause it makes it feel more.
Not depressed. Not depressed.
The press, man.
The pressure. All right. So in 3, 2, 1. I think he made a sound. Hello, everybody! It's wrap up time. Is it episode 17 or 18? If it's 18, it's illegal.
It's finally legal. Oh, shit.
All right. So yeah, we have a lot of stuff to talk about today. But first, as always,
A word from our sponsors.
not really. We're gonna check out the lip syncing here. Like, are our lips synced with the sound? Please, chat, help us out. And speaking of chat, I should be able to see some chat. 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay. All right, Arja, thank you very much. We fixed. You can hear the boy now.
Hey, the boy is live. I
Should
am the
be.
boy because I am still in puberty for 20 years now.
All right, so yeah, the thing is, we had our microphone set up on 3 and 4 instead of 2 and 3.
Sure, I mean, it's
So-
always good to get more, but 4 is too much, too bigger than 2.
Okay, can you repeat what you said?
Penis.
All right,
Probably
so
say something stupid.
we're gonna talk about all of the changes. We're not gonna go into specifics, but we definitely have thoughts and opinions on what the hell happened with the class tuning.
I
for-
may have some emotional opinions, as you may have heard today earlier on stream, if you caught that one.
I mean, it's only fair for Flame to have some opinions.
I am the mirror of the Fire Mage community.
Mirror, that is an interesting word you used there, my
I
friend.
wonder if people know what it means. They probably don't know. It's not foreshadowing anything.
Nothing at all. But you're not the only one who has been touched in some capacity. I'm talking about your spec. I mean, it was
Not my uncle.
and it still is a crazy ride in terms of tuning and class balancing. And
Some of it feels like it's so on point and so right, and some of it feels like it's coming from left field while your eyes are closed and sucking you in the mouth. Like, what is going on in this game? And thank you, Chadex, for the prime, baby.
Chadex!
Boy,
what up?
sup?
Sucking you in the mouth, Flame?
Socking you.
Sucking you, all
As
right,
in,
all right. Yeah, because I understood sucking you in the mouth, which is very weird thing to say.
You can have your mouth sucked, but this is a late night stream. Your kids should be already asleep, everybody.
Yeah, it really depends on where people are in the world, right? So
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, we can kick it off because there's a lot to go through, and I did make a couple of points.
Did you also hit the record button?
Yes.
We're in, boys.
In all cylinders, it's a success. Okay, so we're gonna look at the general table here, which kind of like included hopefully all of the hot fixes. If not, we're gonna talk about that shaman thing.
Wow, that was I didn't
something.
think it was that big until I saw actually some logs where the shaman elemental performance was like a dick crashing out of the screens. Like, it wasn't enough layers to fit in all of that elemental big damage.
I mean, it was awesome to see, but it definitely smelled kind of weird because right from the bat is
Nobody
like
used
what,
toilet paper.
I mean, we also saw it during our raid. It's like
Naira.
like overnight we had our elemental shaman just
like
blasting everywhere.
This
It's like,
dude
wait a minute.
practiced the shit out of this elemental, or it might have been overbuffed. I don't know.
Hell yeah. Okay, so we have, what is it? 2 p.m. For Arja. Oh my god, incoming ad break. I hate this because I cannot see anything.
Let me snooze the ad. There you go.
snooze
As ad is snooze for 5 minutes. We're doing our best to kind of snooze all of the ads, but Twitch Prime solves that.
Okay, so also we have where is it? Noon in Texas, so we're all over the place.
Yeah, it's all sorts.
People in Europe.
Kids
I
should
think
be
they're
asleep nevertheless when we go live.
very true.
It's not
very
safe.
True.
It's not safe.
Don't
We
bring
warned you.
them. Don't bring them. All right, let's cut the crap
All right.
and let's just
right,
get
right,
into them. Right. So just a quick glance over at blood decay nerfs all across the board. I mean, both in single target and in AOE, you cannot see. Huh?
Yeah, no, I can see. So I see
blind-
minus and a percentage.
Is it-
I'm assuming it's good because it's not on Fire Mage.
Yeah, so the thing is, like we already addressed this. They like nerfed a lot of what was happening with Sand Lane.
I heard people talk about. Well, this is interesting because we don't see that many Blood Decays until you play it, and we play with our boy Tiny, who's playing Blood Decay a lot, and he's doing really well. But I never see Blood Decay do more than Prot Paladin. Yet Prot Paladin keeps getting buffed, and another thing like
that's just to compensate because it keeps getting killed.
Because if you're gonna die super fast, how about
at
you
least
kill
it
things
did
even
something.
faster? Because glass cannon, that's the concept.
Yeah. So there's a couple nerfs here, but nobody was too up in arms about this. Frost Decays, however, got really upset about their nerfs.
0.3%. I wonder how a 0.3% nerf feels.
Listen, that's in single target. Okay, AoE did take a hit because we had the nerfs. So you remember, like right in patch day, we had buffs to Frost Decay and Arcane.
Sure.
And then a couple hours later, we had nerfs to Frost Decay and
Sounds
Arcane.
about right.
So what happened was, like, Frost Decay was already doing pretty well all across the board, and it was obviously the Deathbringer talents. So they nerfed it, and after the nerf, bugs occurred, right?
The Wave of Souls bug,
yes,
right?
the Wave of Soul bugs is like the biggest one, and basically it was a little bit of an overreaction for the biggest majority of the Frost damage, understandably so. That always tends to happen, but it did gimp your playstyle because when you have you have less of that icy talons procs things that is affected by Wave of Souls. It feels very clunky. It feels very clunky,
Also,
and suddenly you don't attack as fast, and your damage drops, obviously.
Sure.
But this is only in AoE. Like in single target, it's so minimal you won't even recognize it.
I think we do have to point this out for anybody who's not up to date with everything. These are all expected tuning to happen because not all the tuning have happened this reset. From what I understand, there's
but this is reset. This is so Frost Decay is this. It's
Frost Decay, sure, but we're gonna have like other stuff that is probably gonna be coming in the next.
And I also had a chat with Taze about this. Let me just try to scroll it down here. So red. Okay. So just to get like a little bit more into like the details for Frost. Okay, because I know a lot of people like were thinking about switching to Unholy, which, hey, welcome. It's a beautiful world.
Yeah.
Unholy hasn't been touched at all. It's perfect. So let's check out a little bit the nerfs. All right. So Deathbringer, Reaper's Mark, initial stacking damage reduced by 22%. Exterminate damage reduced by 22%. Wave of Souls damage reduced by 22%. Obliterate damage reduced by 6%. Breath of Cinder Ghost damage reduced by 10%, and Icy Death Torrent damage reduced by 12%. Now, of course, obviously this will not apply in PvP. Now, basically, what Tay said here, like, for single target, the nerf is negligible. So it's
kind of what matters a little bit more.
Yeah, and for AoE, it's a bit bigger, like as you saw in the table as well. It's around 2 or 3% nerf. Okay, now he said also that people are overly reacting massively because the bigger issue is in regards to the bugs, like with the Wave of Souls being like the prominent one. Now there's also let's read like the Wave of Souls because I don't think everybody knows about this.
Sure.
So this is the hero talent, right? So Reaper's Mark sends forth bursts of Shadow Frost energy and back, dealing blah 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 attack power, Shadow Frost damage path both way, and to enemies caught in its path. Now the most important part here: Wave of Souls critical strikes cause enemies to take 5% increased Shadow Frost damage for 15 seconds, stacking up to 2 times, and it is always critical strike on its way back. Now, this is one bug. Another one is with the Dark Talons procs. It zeroes out Icy Talons value when until you proc Icy Talons from spending runic power again, so you'll randomly start attacking slower for a few seconds. This is what I was talking about. It starts feeling clunky. So just for people who don't know what this is, the Dark Talons basically is like assuming Killing Machine or Rhyme has a 25% chance to grant 3 stacks of Icy Talons and increase its maximum stacks by the same amount for 6 seconds. Runic Power spending abilities count as Shadow Frost while Icy Talons is active. Now, Icy Talons, I think everybody knows this is in the general DK talent tree. Your Runic Power spending abilities increase melee attack speed by 6% for 10 seconds, stacking up 3 times. Now, Dark Talons just buffs up Icy Talons even more. So you get like super attack speed and you get that giga damage. And it was like partially affecting a lot of the unholy Frost Decay's performance in AoE.
Attack,
it is.
Auto attack crits generate killing machines, so that's pretty big.
Yeah, exactly. So these are like the major issues, but overall, and just gonna circle back to the table here. Overall, as is being said in the table here, it's very, very minimal for single target, and yeah, it's a nerf for AoE, but it's not the biggest in the world. You know,
AoE is a little bit clunky because people need to understand what 2 to 3% means. Let's say in the perfect world, you pull a pack in a dungeon, you do like 5 million DPS. 2 to 3% is about 100 to 200k DPS loss out of your 5 million. That's a very small chunk of DPS, if my math is correct, that, you know, in the end doesn't end up being that big, right? Sure, it would be a lot more if it was single target, but it's not single target either, right? So it's not that bad. And considering that Frost Decay was a spec that was performing really, really, really well, you probably expect something like this to hit. It never feels good, of course, but these are okay nerfs. There are
I mean, I saw them with our Frost Decays, especially on the Russian fight last night. I've seen them. Like they were usually a lot more on the top meters, right?
That's also a problem because when we were fighting, there was probably the Wave of Souls, and if Blood Decay starts the fight, they start with the Wave of Souls instantly. So Frost Decay never gets to use their Wave of Souls at all the entire fight.
Yeah.
So you miss out on a lot at that point. But that's still like what, 2 to 3%.
Yeah. So we kind of stopped on Frost Decay because we saw kind of a little bit of an uproar in the Frost Decay mains or whatever. So we're not gonna go like through all the details on this, but we will talk about Red Paladin as well and Mage as well because that's it. A very how do I put this? Flame is playing it, and a lot of people are playing Red Paladin. So we're gonna get to it now. Havoc has been buffed. 1.3% single target and AoE. Again, there's the list of actual changes is huge. Like if you want to read all of the changes, be my guest. But I think this is a much more
people can understand this a little bit more than like 15 spells buffed by 10%. Like you don't know what that means until you actually break out the damage profile of a Havoc.
Exactly. Balanced Druid has been slightly nerfed in single target, but it was nerfed in AoE.
In AoE, I get.
I know, because it was doing pretty good in dungeons from the last time I saw.
No, in AoE has been really good since beta. It was destroying. People had a problem with the degenerate rotation. That was the main issue. Yeah. But in single target, it's been suffering since they lost the Shadowlands, attack speed buff thing.
But Fire Mage also suffered. So we're gonna go there. Hey, but I'm happy seeing a Feral buff to single target.
Yeah, for sure.
To 2%. I mean, it is stated that it's an undocumented buff. I don't know if Guiltius is on top of it, but it's it's with green.
This is actually really good for Feral. I don't know. Did we do a melee raid DPS check? We didn't do a tier list of it recently. No,
we did for raids.
Yeah, for raids. Okay,
yeah, the last one was
because I know I looked at some of the boss damage. I think
it wasn't bad.
No,
it wasn't bad.
Feral is really good at boss damage. It's like one of the top specs, like in the top 5, top 10 specs of boss damage in the entire game, and is really good. AoE is where it starts to struggle, especially in raids. So getting that single target buff just means really good boss damage for Feral, and it's. I mean, it makes sense to buff Feral, a middle of the pack spec. It's, for other middle of the pack specs.
Well, we're going to get there. Restoration Druid, I mean, this is all damage numbers here, so nothing really changed on the Restoration. But we know Resto got buffed in terms of the healing side, right? This is already known information, okay? So it's not that we don't love Resto Druids. It's like we already discussed all of this.
Plus a bunch of talent changes that's come with 1105 for Resto, sure.
Yeah. Augmentation, Evoker, and Devastation, it got buffed to shields.
Yeah, they have. I think they have a talent called Unravel. That's the Evoker class 3 talent. Where
I don't know nothing about those limpid, disgusting lizards. Sorry, I love you all in the same way, but I hate them.
I don't remember the details of the talent, but I think it's called Unravel. Is where you do more damage to shield targets. That matters for what is it? Horror. I think it matters for what is it? Not Sikron. Whatever bosses have shields that you need to break them, like Ansarek as well, right? There are a bunch of mechanics in the game, plus dungeons as well, where you just have to deal damage to shields. That's good. I don't know how much that matters for Evokers, because I don't know if they actually talent into that. Maybe they will talent into it now. And that's always great to have, because it was a mechanic that they've been pushing ever since, I think, Dragonflight, dealing damage to shields through different talents and different abilities. And it would be great if that becomes a way to combat WoW, but we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it is about Unravel, and
Yeah.
also
Unravel, there you
on the notes, Unravel is likely one of the best globals on single target. Same thing for Devastation and
cool.
Augmentation.
Cool.
So
There you go.
go. Beast Mastery Hunter got buffed by 5%
In single target.
In single target, and in AOE it only says buff.
Because you go to the gym and you lift all of your pets. The thing is, this is really hard to quantify because Beast and all the Hunter specs got a bunch of rework to the talent, so we don't really know what the rework means in terms of the overall percentage. So the fact that they got buffed doesn't really mean much. Maybe because the talent rework would have knocked their damage down a peg, getting the buffs just keeps them there. Like, we don't know yet, but it's, you know, it's good. It's good to see green.
I mean, yeah, we know the struggles of Beast Mastery. It's all good and dandy. Marksmanship, you know, 2% both single target and AoE, within 2% of previous performance for single target. AoE similar, a couple of percentages buff. We like to see, listen, we always love to see buffs rather than nerfs. This is the thing, okay? Like, if you're gonna have a spec that's overperforming, Elemental Shaman, bring everybody up. Don't kill everybody up and down. That's all I'm saying. Survival Hunter, though. Survival Hunter is getting like a big win card here because 6% single target damage and 9% AoE damage.
It's the same discussion with Hunter. Like, it received a bunch of changes to its talents.
I know.
The
Hunters are like the I would say biggest reworks class on this side of the
one of them.
Paladin general talent tree as well, but this was long overdue.
At the end of the day, I think most of the rework that Survival got hit with was affecting AoE more than single target. So it's neither here nor there. We need to wait like a week or so to see Hunters do raids, do keys, to see how high they climb.
Yeah, all right, I see everybody in chat. Okay, let's check this out.
I cannot see.
Let's check this out. Yeah, they just announced a €80 auction house mount.
Oh no!
Yeah, okay. Let me look at this.
Brutosaur. No, they're putting the €80. Holy shit, that's a whole game's worth.
Okay. Oh my God, it is the Brutosaur, but it has different. Okay, let me just get this article opened up.
They wouldn't. Oh my God, this is my favorite mount that I've never been able to get.
Okay, so I just opened up Wowhead. Okay, so this. All right. So question is.
Oh Jesus!
You know, this feels like a.
Like shit. That's how it feels like. It feels like
like Bobby Kotick is back, baby.
Bobby Kotick is back on the menu, everybody. Fork out your wallets. Let's go.
But dude, this mount costs €80.
That's such a high price. That's such a high price for a mount because you know people want this so bad. I want this so bad. I've never wanted a mount more than when they've announced this, and I could never raise the 5 million gold back in BFA whenever they introduced this. The fact that they're putting it on the auction house is for players like me.
A lot of people will buy this.
Yeah. I would normally buy it if it was like 20, 15, 10 euros, something like that, like normal mount price range, but nah. They're gonna cash in hard, baby, because, you know, Christmas is coming, man. You need to get that,
I mean, it's so early though, because they just want to
need that money early, man. They need to fund whatever they're funding. Jesus, dude.
Okay, so it's $90 in the NA and €80.
That's so much, man. Is that like
this
Epic Edition?
Yeah, fucking, it's like a whole new expansion worth.
Buy
of
the game
amount.
again. Get a dinosaur.
No, the truth is, they're gonna make a killing out of this.
For sure.
I'm probably gonna get this as well. As much as I hate it, it's such a useful mount to have the auction house.
Okay, listen. In terms of marketing strategy, this is brilliant. This is a very good mount.
Yeah, but I hate him for this.
It's not just cosmetic. I hate him too, man. I don't like it.
I love him at the same time. What do I do?
Imagine if they put this in the game behind an achievement, behind a grind system. How many people would actually fucking play the game? Because you should want your players to play the game, not to buy the game. You know, it's a difference of perspective. Obviously, players are gonna buy the game. You cannot play the game without buying the game. But if you're gonna make something for the game, just make it behind gameplay and not put it behind a paywall, man. How much more are we gonna do this? Like, two step forwards, one step back kind of thing. Because WoW is doing great right now, but you come up with some shit like this, bro. After the anniversary, man, and people are, I guess, generally happy with the anniversary.
I guess financially, they're probably not doing that great. Well, that's all I can think about.
Really? I mean,
it's all I can think about because okay, let's look at it. It's not like the highest res on the model viewer here. I mean, it does look pretty goddamn cool. I mean, the armor on it is
okay. Take the store away. This is a cool mount. Let's say they introduce this mount in the game. Let's say it wouldn't be behind a transaction on the store. This is a fantastic mount. People actually farmed this when it was content in BFA. They spent a lot of gold. This is a really good way to make gold interesting in the video game because you just work towards it. That's how it was at the beginning. And considering that you're actually engaging with the auction house maybe now more than ever with professions, with crafting orders and all of that stuff. You want a mail and an auction house mount now more than ever. And we know, we use the yak mount a lot because for the repairs in the mount, and then we use all of the mail toys because, we buy stuff and we want the mail now. We cannot just chase all of the mailboxes away. Yeah. This is such a good utility mount. Not to mention it's a fucking badass Brutosaur. It's a Brontosaur dinosaur mount. It's fucking cool.
It is cool.
Now, they added it into the game. If they put it as an achievement, everybody's gonna play the shit out of that achievement.
I think this is where they're missing the mark. Sure, they're gonna make a lot of money overall, but if they're gonna align themselves with their own philosophy that they declared, right? Now, if you're gonna put something like this out of the store mount and within the game in some sort of like super difficult achievement, you would get people to play like maniacs in order to get this. I can guarantee you. And what are you looking for? Are you looking for long-term engagement? Do you want to have those people being subbed and replaying and replaying and replaying for more than a couple of months? Or are you just looking to like beef up your earnings call or whatever?
That's it. Man.
Yeah, to just, end the quarter with a nice big chunk of cash. Because I think this is it, man. I think they have to, like, after the purchase from Xbox for, what was it, 6.8 billion, like the biggest takeover in gaming history, I think they have to now show for it. And WoW is one of the biggest
This is a crucial crossroads when you come as a developer, when you actually do have, I don't believe that nobody at the studio said anything. Listen, this could be an in-game reward for people, or this could be a store item, right? They definitely had the choice to make something content for the game for players to chase, because we've proven to them that we're gonna chase the shit out of any cosmetic and awesome cool mount, or sell it. Because this was such an important decision, since they can use this for anything. They could have used this for the Zegvir colored theme on the Zeppelin thing mount. They could have used this for the tier 2 anniversary sets. Any cosmetic, any actual reward in the game, whether it's cosmetic, whether it's a mount, whether it's like any kind of reward, they can either put it behind playing the game or behind paying for it. And they chose to go for it.
They chose to like beef up their earnings because the quarter will close, and
this is a test that they needed to pass, and they failed. In my opinion, they failed.
But okay, the truth is, this is gonna make them a huge amount of money. This is it, because you cannot really pass this up. I mean, the cost is ridiculous, though. I cannot I need a moment to like just take it in. It costs more than an actual expansion.
Okay, you know how much that costs?
This has the cost of a AAA game, dude.
This costs as much as it takes for me to fill my car up for an entire month with fuel.
If you put it in perspective,
this costs as much as buying food for 2 to 3 weeks to eat. Exactly. This costs as much as buying my entire wardrobe for winter, almost. Like half of my wardrobe.
Okay. Fair, but
a lot of socks. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money to put into one mount that they know that we want, and because this is the reason why it's being paid for. Because, like you said, you have to get it.
They also put a FOMO in it, man.
Oh no!
Offer valid for a limited time, so they have to put that in as well,
man.
This is ridiculous, man.
This is degenerate as fuck, man.
So it's only valid through January 6th. Okay, so let's read out the fine print here. Okay, so presenting the awe-inspiring.
This could be a Christmas present for your significant other.
Everybody said that they're gonna have this for Christmas. Okay, let's read out this. So we give the proper information.
Yeah, let's go.
So, presenting the awe-inspiring Traders Gilded Brutosaur, adorned with a 20th anniversary themed harness set with gems representing WoW's expansions. Brave the world of Azeroth on this magnificent Zandalari beast with Morton and Killia, bringing the auction house and the mail with you on the go. The Traders Gilded Brutosaur is a ground mount shared across all present and future World of Warcraft characters and automatically scales to the fastest running blah blah blah. This is a offer for a limited time.
Of course.
Requires $1 subscription, not available for Classic. Of course, I imagine putting this for Classic up. So, okay, I did not pay attention to this, but I want to see because it does. The armor should represent all of the expansions of WoW. So let me get back to the view in model viewer and analyze. So this is Battle for Azeroth, I'm guessing. Is the
like Heart of Azeroth, right?
The Heart of Azeroth, yeah. I can see some green stuff here. Could be some Legion, TBC. Yeah, I mean, both of those.
Dragonfly clear with the dragon heads.
Yeah. Oh, this looks also kind of BFA-ish here. The little, what is this? Okay, you can see the sculptures, you know, from the Dark Portal here on the sea.
Oh yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
You blind back, can you see it?
It's literally this big on my screen.
Okay, let's look on the other side. All right, what's this? What does this represent here?
Wait, would that be the Alliance and the Horde? Is it red on the other side?
No. Oh yeah, it is.
Oh, it could be the Alliance versus Horde, and I guess those were the vendors are located also positioned on the thing.
But okay, so it does represent the past expansions as well. But I don't know.
Maybe on the feet or on its head. Maybe it has
on the
more
feet.
Stuff.
Do you think this is Xalatat design? You want to see some feet flame?
Hey, could be,
check out some feet. Check out some Brutosaur feet. Yeah,
toes.
You like those toes, don't you?
Yeah, they do it for
World
me.
of Toecraft.
Don't roll the camera down to below my bust.
Oh my god. Okay, yeah. So it's fine. It probably in the, okay. We have something here as well. I think the eyes here, maybe some Lich King-y vibes here. No, I don't think they will not put Shadowlands on this mount. I don't believe so.
They remind me of Bolvar more so than the Lich
Oh,
King.
this is War Within. This is on top. This looks like the logo from the War Within. See on its head.
Okay, sure. I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. This is. I mean, you could say Horde, but not Horde is here. So yeah, it does have some elements of past WoW expansions.
All that shit. They're just gonna take it because it's an auction house and it's a dinosaur, man.
Yeah. Okay. So the question is it? Did they just release the offer now? Can you go ahead and buy it right now? Because this is the question. But I think it's already understood. Chat, is it available now? Did you guys already buy it? That's the question.
It says available now. Yes, it's available now.
Okay, shit. So it goes. Okay, right. So just to conclude this, it kind of like throws a fork in what was supposed to be, you know, the biggest celebration yet for World of Warcraft and Warcraft combined. It throws a fork in that, just because it has a huge price tag, and by definition,
didn't we just, like, as a gaming community, didn't we just leave the controversy of Riot's $500 skin that everybody trashed the entire company for it, and now they're gonna do something like this? They expected this? Like, I mean, you think we
of course this is planned out. This is planned out for you know, months ahead or whatever. But again, it's a big price tag, like $90 and 80 euros. It's basically the cost of almost a collector's edition AAA game.
That's the thing. It's not just the price being high. It's more than the game itself.
Yeah, that's one thing. But also the fact that you put, again, another useful mount on the auction house, because I think they were pretty incentivized for the Grizzly mount. Remember, we had a chat about that just maybe a month ago, where I was a little bit, you know, salty about it. But this takes the cake. The problem is I'm probably going to get this. This is the thing. I'm probably going to get this because it's so useful. God damn it, Blizzard.
This is one of those moments where I really want this, but I feel so exploited that my negative feelings are actually pushing against me purchasing this. It feels so shit, man. It feels like they were doing so good right now. And don't get me wrong, everything about this is predatory on the psychology of the consumer. The limited time, like, the only reason is for people to buy. It
feels like such a Bobby Kotick move. Unbelievable. This feels like such a... I had faith in Phil Spencer. I don't believe. So, you know, after, you know, reading half of the book of Play Nice, it wasn't Bobby Kotick at all. It was Mike Morhaime with all of the monetization schemes and whatever in multiple games. So it wasn't that. Probably because of the pressure. But just moving back to this, I guess all habits die hard. And once again, I don't believe they're like evil in that sense, but I do believe it's a high pressure for the Xbox team to like show up and deliver that purchase, right? You need to show the value. for this, because it's not okay. You have a lot of franchises on this, but World of Warcraft is one of the biggest cash cows.
That would make a lot of sense, because we trashed them in the past for always putting store mounts on the store, but now this is the second
this is
utility.
A whole nother level, dude.
This is not just cosmetic anymore. This actually gives you in-game utility that you have to buy for. There's no other way to get. If there was like we can give a pass to the bear because you can get the yak in the game. You cannot get this in the game anymore except for the Black Auction House.
Once in a blue moon, if you ever get
that's no way to. No, I'm sorry.
This is and the fact that it's only available until January 6th, the FOMO that they put in there is just disgusting. Come on.
Tiny is saying in chat he's already looking at somebody already on.
And of course, man.
Didn't even last long, man.
This is going to be the biggest.
It's gonna make more money than the expansion.
The biggest sales number for them this year on World of Warcraft. The expansion will not generate as much money. The number of copies purchased, War Within copies, right, digitally or physically, collectors will not match the amount of money they will make out of this mount.
Yeah,
that's it. And you know the problem is with that? They will do more because. Dude, we're making so much money out of this. Let's put some more. Who knows what the hell they'll invent?
Like I wouldn't mind if they give a counterpart in game. That's my thing. It's like we're not gonna close the Pandora box anymore. It's there, but give us a game counterpart. Give me a way to get this in game. Like you gave me for the bear. I can have the yak. I can get the utility out of that. Just give me a counterpart for this, man. Just don't be this scummy. This is.
I can bet your ass Mokti will get this as soon as he sees it.
I think he's already writing it.
No. He's not. He's at the airport again, but. When he comes back and he'll see this, he'll be like, "Oh man, I gotta get this." He's
gonna come. Hey guys, have you seen this mount?
While we were talking a month ago about the Grizzly mount, he was listening to the podcast. He bought it.
Yeah, I know.
We were like spinning here.
We were talking about it, and he saw it as like he tuned out the audio of it, and it's like, "Oh, this looks cool. I'm gonna get it." Right. So I think he's a perfect example of the average WoW player that will buy this stuff.
All right. So I think we beat this dead horse or dead dinosaur at this point.
It's.
I want to get back. I want to get back to
better days, because Mage is next on the list.
To class tuning and stuff. All right. Let's get to Mage, because it's Flame's main, so he probably is gonna have a lot of things to say. So Arcane Mage on Sun Fury, a slight nerf to single target, insignificant buff to AOE. This is post hotfix in the notes there, but Spellslinger, homie, and I believe Spellslinger is where it's at. I think this is the biggest buff on this list, apart from like Elemental Shaman Bug. Okay, so this is a 12.2% single target nerf. Don't look weird.
Oh no, I cannot say. I'm trying to.
It's a buff. You have to believe me. Buff. That's what I said. It's a buff. So the biggest buff. Nerf. I said nerf. I'm sorry. I mean buff. Yeah,
that's good, because
12.2% single target and 14% AOE.
I think it was about 10% single target behind. There was something around that behind Sun Fury the entire time. So this buff is very important that it came in. Not to mention that Spellslinger, if I'm gonna put my bias in, has been the number one reason why I wanted to main Mage, because Arcane Spellslinger is just such stupid fun of procs, and obviously damage is nice, but it's not because of the damage. It's how your rotation just constantly shoots out arcane orbs all over the place. This is legit. If you're gonna play Mage at any point in time, you should definitely play Arcane Spellslinger, first of all. So it makes sense that the buff came in, because it was very behind. Hopefully, we would have wanted this at the beginning of the season, so that we don't just have the only one way to play Mage, which is Sun Fury Arcane, or Sun Fury Fire if you really want to play Fire.
But dude, the buffs are huge. Come on, you gotta give props.
But it was very behind. But it's not in terms of overall single target damage. I think it might be just 1 or 2% better than before.
Oh, okay.
It's not as a class, as a spec, but Spellslinger was just behind what it normally did by about 10% or more, probably.
What about Fire Mage? Because I see a lot of good things happening with Fire Mage.
As deserved, Fire Mage was nerfed by 6%. Remember when Frost Decay was nerfed by 2 to 3%, and everybody lost their mind? It's okay. Fire was nerfed by 6% because we all know that.
And
Fire
it wasn't even needed. This is like, what's the logic behind this? Nobody understands what they're doing with Fire. Can you please enlighten us, Flame? So yeah.
So I don't know the entire picture, so I don't want people to quote me on on this, but to my knowledge, Fire Mage has had a difficult couple of weeks where there was a particular talent that skewed its single target performance, Control Destruction, which is scaling your ignite damage at the course of a fight until it reaches 50 stacks, and normally was supposed to scale your damage to 25% extra ignite damage, but at one point in the week it scaled it to 50%. If I recall correctly, but I might be wrong, when that happened, there was a bug where Fire Mage did more damage. That's probably when WoW had also released those articles of, oh, Fire Mage is S tier, everybody lost their shit. They announced the nerf. So if I'm not mistaken, they've nerfed Fire Mage and they've also fixed the bug that was doing more damage. So you double dip on lowering Fire Mage's overall DPS. Now, Fire Mage is not simming super behind everybody else, right? It's right now, Fire single target is the worst single target out of the entire Mage kit. I know Preheat has done a video where he showcases all of the sims for everything. And even if you take the single target that Fire Mage does, it's not the end of the world. It's still a viable spec. You can still actually play it. What the problem is that why is it nerfed? It was not the best Mage spec. It wasn't even the best DPS spec.
What do you mean, man? We saw Wall hit that ranking and he was crushing it, man. I saw it like Fire Mage meta.
And they buffed Living Bomb and actually played it today. If you play a Living Bomb build, you will do tank level single target damage. So I don't understand it anymore, man. Maybe we just don't get Fire Mage. I've had this discussion before as well with other players. Like, why is this happening? Like, they gave developer notes for a lot of stuff. Why not for this? When every week it seems like it's either buff or nerf, or buff or nerf for a spec that's middle of the pack. It's just middle of the pack. Like, why? When you're buffing ferals, which are probably around the same now. If you look at the rankings right now, you might see this posted or whatever in one of our YouTube videos. Fire Mage is below average, and it has been below average before the nerfs. Why?
No,
I don't understand.
They have a vendetta against them or something, man. They just want to like burn. Pun intended.
We mentioned at the beginning that there are some buffs and nerfs that are good. The Arcane ones are good. Arcane has been overperforming the entire season and has been knocked down a peg a little bit at a time. Sometimes there's a bug, they fix it, they introduce a new talent to fix a bug. That is fucking fantastic design. In the meantime, Fire is like, I'm just gonna throw this at the wall. If it sticks, it's a buff. If it falls down, it's a nerf. And most likely it's just a hard, solid thing that never sticks to the wall.
Yeah. But Frost Mage also got a single target buff 8%.
Yeah, it was
time to switch to Frost. Mage.
Prior to this, I think Frost was the worst single target damage, and obviously now
it's doing good, but I think it will not match the levels of Fire Mage. Not yet. I'm sorry. Fire Mage is still gonna be meta because I saw on the tier list, man. I saw it in the tier list on Wowhead. It was really, really good. We went through the Brewmaster changes as well last week, so you know they're getting they're getting buffs to
they're official.
They're
in the list with everybody else.
Yeah, they're getting buffs to their damage all across the board, but also to their healing and whatnot. So there's probably gonna see a lot more play.
Sure.
There's a lot of notes for Mistweaver monk. So Mistweaver kind of got like 1% like spot killing nerf, but a 3 to 5% AoE buff to its healing. So the notes here are many quality of life improvements with the new and merged talents, including baseline ancient teachings of the monastery, I believe, a ranged rising sun kick alternative in Russian wind kick, and the new smaller cooldown in Jade empowerment that gets better when there are more enemies to damage. I feel this is very good.
That sounds really cool, yeah.
Yeah, and I also saw the buffs for Windwalker, 3% a single target.
Sounds about right.
4 to 5% in AoE. Yeah, again, I'm sorry, don't be salty now.
That's fine. I can listen, but that's what you want in a spec that's average or below average, which is kind of what Windwalker has been. I feel in some of the raid fights. Even though Windwalker has been doing pretty well, but it was never really shining. It was kind of like maybe a little bit below Havoc, and Havoc got like 1% buff. Windwalker's getting like what, a 3% or something. So. It checks out. It
checks out, yeah.
If you want to bring Windwalker to the levels of Frost Decay, let's say, right?
I'm just gonna look a little bit for where is it? People are asking for the link on this. I'm just looking for it. Just give me a second, guys. I'm gonna put it in. I don't know. You need to have the last one. Hopefully, I can find it. Just give me a second. Where is this?
Did I miss them talking about? SGAM? What is SGAM?
SGAM?
I don't know what SGAM is.
I mean, could you elaborate, please?
Yeah, please do. How bad are Warriors? I don't think Warriors are bad.
We'll get to Warriors. Don't worry about it.
Fury is like a different discussion.
Expected.
Oh,
Okay.
shamans. No, shamans are very fine. Like we're gonna get to it eventually. We didn't talk about them yet. So yeah, you came in just in time.
Okay, so I'll paste the link in chat.
There you go.
One here and one on YouTube. And I'm also like, if I give you the link, can you put it in the YouTube description?
Sure.
Or is it like too much?
No, I can update it for sure.
All right. You have your Discord?
Yeah.
All right, guys. All right. Arja on point with the pins. Love it.
Yes, I need to pin it on YouTube because you cannot pin it on YouTube. I don't think.
Okay. Oh, you can take the link from the chat, right? So, or do you want me to send it on Discord?
No, I can take it from chat.
Take it then. All right. All right.
God fucking it.
So we should be good. All right. So for everybody who's like asking for the link, it should be pinned on Twitch, and Flame is pinning it on YouTube as well. So we should be Gucci, guys. I'm just gonna keep that open in case people ask for it once again. Yeah, don't mention it, Somuza.
It's also in the stream description on YouTube, which has 341 viewers. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our...
guys
this is
and
a
gals.
crazy number. We've never had this much, I think, on YouTube.
Not on the podcast, no. So
definitely.
welcome everybody. We're gonna get to it, but let's carry on where we left off. All right.
100%.
So we get into the Paladins because, believe it or not, Paladins did get some nerfs. Specifically Red Paladin, and again there was a situation where people kind of overreacted, and I have some words from Bolas as well from the Hammer of Wrath Discord. So let's start it off with Holy Paladin on Lightsmith. It was across the board nerf by 2%, and
It's damage.
both of it. So yeah, damage. This is damage. Okay, so not healing. All right, and also the for Herald it was even more, like 3.5%. Right. There's some notes here. Dawnlight has a 15.3 nerf on launch, which results in a further 1.5 nerf to Herald of the Sun builds, on top of the base average of 2%. Now, Protection Paladin got buffed. We already known about this. Its damage got buffed. We discussed about it, and we talked at length why we hate Prot Paladins currently, because we
have a video on it.
We have a video on it, but damage wasn't the problem. Let's just put it like that. Retribution Paladin got nerfed. Okay, so with all of the changes that was happening, with the class tree for talent, the class tree in the talents. For Paladins, some things changed as well, and they kind of like try to compensate it, but it was an overall nerf for Red Paladins. Now, this is not the end of the world. Red Paladins can still do crazy amount of damage.
How big is the nerf?
3%. It's not huge, but it was an overreaction, obviously, because we know like there's a lot of like Red Paladin players out there. So we're just gonna read it off from Bolas here from the Hammer of Red Discord. Bolas is, for the longest time,
Wowhead, I think.
It is the top tier crafter for Reds, mythic Red Raider as well. So he knows what he's saying, and he's doing a lot of work for the Red Paladin community. So here is his say. Now, the removed talents was Seal of Order, losing 10% cooldown reduction to generators. Seal of Alacrity was removed, losing 4% haste. This is all because of the general talent tree, right? Seal of the Crusader damage removed, Holy damage dealt by auto attacks, and Touch of Light was removed. Now, they did get some buff to compensate for this, right? So 6% damage buff to spells and abilities to compensate, and Vengeful Wrath maximum effect now 60% instead of 50%. Now, he mentions most other effects removed had their bonuses added to baseline abilities. The example is Justification, and overall this is a small nerf to our damage, about -3%. This is not the end of the world. As you can clearly see, we saw it in our raid, we saw it in Keys. Red Paladins are fine. If you guys play a Red Paladin, if you're there playing a Red Paladin, I think you can rest assured you're gonna do just fine, so don't worry about it too much. And I believe Red Paladin really shouldn't deserve a nerf at all. They're doing great. They're not like top of the chain, but they're up there consistently. And for the longest years, Red Paladin was just nowhere to be seen. Not in the rating scene, not in the Mythic Plus scene. I'm happy to see Red Paladins represented.
Red is really strong, has been really strong. It's very, very high. It's kind of like the performance of enhancement in Dragonflight. It's consistently above the average, and nothing's really going to knock it down a peg. It doesn't really get affected by mechanics or encounter design or anything like that. It's a solid spec.
You never like. I think you started to see more and more red paladins being on top of their game and delivering like good damage and finally being brought into raids after the rework.
A solid
Braided.
red is never going to beat a solid Frost Decay and in AoE, and probably not going to beat a solid maybe Arcane in single target. I don't know if Arcane is still that good in single target. So you're not the best at anything, but you're above average at everything else. So
Yeah. If you pull a pack that has 20 mobs, nobody will beat an unholy decay.
oh yeah, for sure. Like
Just putting it out there
yeah,
because
it's
you're
just
talking
the
about
unholy, the unholy love is still don't put it on the radar, man. Just enjoy it. Just
Yeah,
enjoy
I
it while
know.
it lasts.
I already had some comments on that video. It's like, why are you talking about this, man? You're gonna nerf us. Jesus Christ, guys. You cannot say good things about specs anymore because, oh my God, Blizzard's gonna nerf them. Okay, Assassination Rogue got a single target buff by 6%. I mean,
That's the assassination is kind of like it always feels really good in beta and PTR, and then when live hits, they get nerfed because they do too much single target damage, and now steadily they get buffed. It's better than what they received.
It's better. Yeah, it wasn't the best in single target, to be fair. It wasn't the worst, but traditionally we always knew Assassination was kind of the single target boy. It was a surprise to me to see it do so well in AoE, but that's a different discussion. So I'm happy for him. Outlaw Rogue got buffed across the board, 5% overall. A couple of bugs got fixed, but oh man, there's a huge list of bugs for rogues. I saw it from Forever Guy on Twitter.
Still not fixed.
They fixed a couple of things, but there's still a huge list for them.
Yeah,
I think the biggest winner out of all of them is actually Subtlety, because Subtlety had a couple of its major bugs being addressed and fixed, and it also got buffed. So it's looking to be eating a lot better this time around with the changes. So hopefully it's going to be better times for Subtlety, because remember our last tier list for Mythic Plus Melee, like Subtlety was
Subtlety, unfortunately.
Hey, buddy!
yeah, we'll see how that evolves.
Okay, so Elemental Shaman.
There we go, man.
All right, so obviously we have there a significant buff to AoE, which was a buff to AoE. Now, what happened was a bug.
Yeah.
That Elemental Shamans were just destroying everything. Was it because of that flame shock thingy, or am I crazy? That
I don't know exactly what
Ascendants applying flame shock, 6 flame shocks.
That was so okay. So when we tested Elemental, that was the tool. What the tooltip said.
Yeah.
After we recorded Elemental and I went in to edit it and I went back on the PTR, Ascendance wasn't applying 6 flame shocks anymore.
Yeah, but I don't remember if that was intended or not, because
they changed the tooltip, so I imagine applying 6 flame shocks was not what they intended. If they changed the tooltip like 1 day later when we were actually editing the video, and it was shooting lava bursts on all of the flame shocks. But I think the nerfs or the bugs affected the lightning rod. No.
Yeah. I mean, this is all placed after all of the hotfixes.
Yeah.
So it's still like a significant buff. Like I don't know if it's gonna be the same amounts of damage, but from what I understand, they're still crushing it everywhere.
Oh
around,
yeah, no,
right?
Elements is
So
really good right now.
we knew that they're gonna get buffed. Okay, we knew that. But in terms of like what will actually happen in the next couple of weeks, I am expecting a lot more tuning to come. Believe
yeah,
it.
for sure. This is not it. And they did make a blue post right after they've posted a patch notes that they're when they nerfed Arcane and they nerfed Frost Decay, and they said that more tuning is gonna come. I always felt like, oh, okay, they definitely know that they fucked up with Fire Mage.
Hell yeah.
So it's likely going to address a lot more specs that felt like they missed the mark. So it's very early to call, but it's good to kind of know where you're standing, especially since a lot of people were kind of worried that maybe Elemental is dog now. No, guys, listen, it's fine. I mean, just go and play and see that you're just crushing and you'll be fine.
All right. Now, any enhancements in the chat? Because I've seen word ups posts about what's happening to enhancement.
Those,
okay, and this is like the notes I think are from him. So obviously for the buffs and nerfs, it's quote unquote unknown, and he mentions that uncertainty due to the amount of changes and the PTR being done for extended period of time, the number makes deeply rooted elements worse and likely non-viable. So I don't know what this means for enhancement shamans.
Oh, okay, that sucks.
Now I don't know if we have, like, if there's any enhanced shamans in the chat, how does it feel? Do you guys feel you're doing better? Because enhancement was eating good.
Yeah,
there wasn't no big issues with enhancement, but is it like still eating good after everything that happened so far?
Well, what we've played so what we've seen so far from the community, and Tiny was playing Enhancement today, it still slaps and fucking destroys meters. So I think in terms of overall numbers is fine. The fact that Dre was nerfed just feels really bad because it felt like a really nice complement to your rotation where you just get the Ascendance procs, and that was that felt really cool.
Yep.
If it's that bad, I mean, you never really want a talent to be a tremendous DPS loss because that just feels bad forever, especially a talent that makes the rotation feel way better in general. So I guess we'll have to see how they play out. My Enhancement Shaman feels ew. Okay, well, I mean, it might feel ew, it might feel good, but at least it does damage. We'll see how it evolves because this is just the first day in the process of fixing a lot of bugs. So I don't know if we have enough data to kind of draw.
Yeah, we're gonna, and you can be sure that there's gonna be a lot more tuning coming in the next weeks. I can bet. Restoration Shaman, slight buff. I think Restoration Shaman was eating good already, like top healer.
So that's what you do. You buff it even more.
Take note, Fire Mage developers. Destruction Warlock. So Destruction Warlock was like heavily nerfed in AoE. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember, at least not in dungeons, I don't remember seeing Destruction Warlocks being...
You didn't.
Why?
We didn't see... Destruction... Now this actually leads me to think that maybe these are in anticipation for MDI. Because Destruction Warlock always has a problem with AoE scaling, kind of like Unholy DK,
but see, Unholy does not have a problem. It's designed that way.
Yeah, but that's fine. But if you remember every recent MDI, even in Dragonflight, whenever we had Warlock be a terrible spec for dungeons, they took Destructions because, you know, in MDI usually you play lower keys than you push on ladder, and you can afford to pull 3-4 packs. That's when Destruction just freaking destroys, historically speaking. Since I didn't see Destruction either, and whenever we did check up on the meta on range DPS in Mythic Plus, Destruction was what, B?
Yeah, it wasn't impressive at all.
And when we talk about ranking, we mainly talk about how high people are pushing with Destruction relative to all the other range DPSers, and it was nowhere near the top. So I can only imagine these nerfs might come in anticipation for MDI, where people probably practice Destruction and don't log their runs, and they just scale incredibly in AoE anymore, and nobody talks about it. So that would be the only logical reason if we assume that they've used logic to apply to these
if we assume it decisions. I'm just gonna read the note here as well. Okay, so the Diabolic Ritual now has its duration reduced based on number of soul shard spender casts rather than the amount of soul shards spent. This means we're proccing it less often, resulting in a significant nerf in AoE. So if you guys didn't know what was the thing, here is the Diabolic Ritual is the main concern here. Arms Warrior, 1% nerf to single target, and I see like all the warrior specs got the 5 target cap treatment here. Now I don't remember exactly how was the target cap for warriors, since I haven't touched mine, I think since Shadowlands.
I think Bladestorm was soft capped at 8 targets.
Right? I think all of them were at 8, like soft cap at 8.
Bladestorm and probably Ravager and probably Thunderclap. Now Fury has kind of always been capped at like 4 or 5 targets with Whirlwind Cleave. That's you never really hit more targets than that.
Yeah. Okay. So let's read the notes here. So target cap changes have little input on arms. Fair enough. Arms like kind of traditional, very cleavy spec. For Fury, Odin's Fury and initial Thunderous Roar damage reduced by 20% versus 8 targets, or alright, so this is what they mean, or an average 3 to 5% overall on multi-target fights / Mythic Plus. And for protection, AoE reduced slightly due to 5 target cap on Thunderous Roar. So this is basically Thunderous Roar.
Yeah, okay.
So if we have any warrior mains out there, if you guys tested this out, do you feel like weaker? Is it like something that has been really impactful for you, at least maybe in dungeons? Because I would imagine that would be like the place where you would feel it right away.
Historically you would play Thunderous Roar over all of the other capstones 100% of the time. It was the case in Dragonflight as well, and it was the case kind of in the War Within right now, where Fury plays Spear of Bastion in raids, but still plays Thunderous Roar in big AoE dungeons. So they probably want to bring back Thunderous Roar in the levels of Spear of Bastion, or Champion Spear rather. That is not Spear of Bastion anymore. So this is probably just tuning talents against each other to give it more value, but that might just push Spear way more ahead of Thunderous Roar. We'll see how that ends up playing out. Overall, it's not that bad. Maybe the arms single target is more indicative of they don't like arms really smashing in execute fights, because that's where I would imagine that single target buff is going to affect the most.
Yeah, I can see like a couple of warrior mains here saying that, Sean Sullivan saying, it feels weak, Bladestorm and Thunderblast. Phila Bashti saying that his 614 red is doing more overall than his 6022 warrior. So I can see that.
But this is kind of like the Fire Mage case. Like warriors were good, but they were never really broken, right? They were never really, like I actually haven't seen a warrior out DPS a red so far. I definitely haven't seen a warrior out DPS DK. A DK in general.
We've seen Fury warriors shine mostly on.
Yeah, but that's the problem with Fury warrior tunings, because whenever you see our boys Fury warriors slap is whenever they blaze from the ads. It's because of the ads. Because whenever ads spawn, you blaze storm and they kind of die by the end of that blaze storm. But if the blaze storm ends and the ads are still alive, their damage goes down because they don't really have much else. Blaze storm, Odin's Fury, or Ravager, or whatever, and then you just naturally cleave mediocre AoE damage. I feel like that's how warrior damage is. But because every single AoE fight just lasts as long as your burst does, then you're inflated to have this massive overall, which is not really realistic to overall.
It's not really realistic. How about them word salads?
It's play on realistic.
Okay. Well, it's a huge list once again, guys, and this is basically the table from Wowhead that kind of like sums it up. Now, we talked about the so-called 20th anniversary Brutosaur mount or whatever, but there was another like really, I would say, good news in a sense. And just to put this into context,
it was supposed to bring light to
it was
this guy.
It was supposed to be like let's say better announcement. Putting it into context here. Obviously, we don't have a BlizzCon this year.
Yeah.
And we were kind of like hoping to have something to replace that. Now, they did say when, they announced that there is no BlizzCon, that they're going to have online stuff to announce stuff. So, but at this point, like, I'm going to parallel this to BFA times. Now, BFA launched in August 2018. In November 2018, we got the famous BlizzCon with, you guys have now phones and all of that, but we also had the announcement of the 0.1 patch. That was, I think, Tides of Vengeance, if I'm not mistaken.
Tides of Vengeance,
yeah.
So Tides of Darkness.
I think it's Vengeance. Tides of Darkness is Warcraft.
Oh my
RTS.
God, it is. Jesus.
It's okay, man. It's okay. So, just to get back to it, now we know that they're going to do an event. Well, it's because of the anniversary as well, but it's, it's Warcraft Direct, which they did in the past when they announced stuff. I think like
the BlizzCon Online, they called it, right?
That's different. No, that's different. BlizzCon Online was BlizzCon Online. This is different. Like when they announced, for example, the Emergency patch, they announced it through Warcraft Direct, right? So, but this time is different because we're gonna have the anniversary. There's gonna be a lot of stuff about the anniversary, and my hope is that we are going to get some sort of announcement for 11.1.
Of course, it has
to. Before we get into that, there was a lot of data mining for a 11.0.7 patch. And that's probably what's going to be the story content, what moves forward, all of the things that we did prior to the season starting. That's a given. But I don't think that's going to be like the, oh my God, tune into the event because we're going to celebrate Warcraft and all of this stuff, but also a 0.7 patch with little story quest. I don't think, sure, they're going to announce that probably, but that's not going to be the main event. Now, why do I think this? So let's first off read what they said here. This is from the official website from World of Warcraft. And I made in red, the famous code. You cannot see a blind bat. So join us on the 13th of November at 6 p.m. GMT for a special presentation celebrating 30 years of Warcraft and the look ahead at what's next. That's the key phrasing there. That when you see the what's next thing, it's always about something they're going to announce. Like the panels at BlizzCon are, what's next, all of that stuff, right? It's, of course, they mention it here. It's a big year for Warcraft Universe, and whether you're a Hearthstone fan, you've joined the Chaos and Warcraft Rumble, ventured into the world of Azeroth for the first time in Warcraft Orcs and Humans, or you're a World of Warcraft player, there's something for everyone in our Warcraft 30th Anniversary Direct stream. You won't want to miss a moment or a single surprise. There's another thing. They're going to be surprises. Also, the concert you attended will be shown over there as well. Yeah. Stay tuned after the stream for the special 20th anniversary concert broadcast, World of Warcraft 20 years of music celebrating 20 years of World of Warcraft Music produced by Helvepec and filmed live in Switzerland. The concert was performed by the 21st Century Orchestra and the three choirs, Table of Fantasy, Ardito, and the Magic Jazz Gospel. The sweeping 190 performer ensemble will take you on a musical adventure through time and emotion. And you were there.
Yes,
so,
I was taken through an adventure of emotion. I 100% recommend you watch this, listen to this in a clean environment where you can just enjoy the music. It's gonna knock you off your socks.
Yeah, you can also get rewards by watching this. This is gonna be streamed on Twitch, YouTube, and TikTok.
Yep.
You'll also be able to earn in-game viewership rewards for Hearthstone, Warcraft Rumble, and World of Warcraft. We don't know what those are just yet.
Yep.
They'll have more details soon. Now, okay, this is all fine. There's going to be a lot of things with all of the Warcraft franchises. Obviously, what we're most interested in for our community here is World of Warcraft.
Sure.
And one thing that came to my mind was that the roadmap was not updated since the summer.
Yeah, I was actually just thinking about. I noticed you wrote it down.
Yes.
And I was just thinking about it as like, but 11.1, we would have known that by the roadmap, but it hasn't. They haven't really said anything. When in Dragonflight, they kind of like updated that like twice or three times by the time
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
expansion,
Exactly.
stopped.
Where they kind of like keep to their patch cadence still, so
Yeah.
they are like on point with the patches, like with the release with 0.5 and 0.7. So they are respecting that. I just feel that if this is going to be like a Warcraft Direct, and apart from everything celebrating the Warcraft franchise and all its games and whatever, this is the proper venue to show off something in regards to patch 11.1. What it's gonna be, where we're gonna go. There's hints that there's probably gonna be some goblin related stuff. I don't know.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, just a couple of weeks ago, Warcraft 3 got a big patch once again. I don't know if that's in preparation for anything that they're going to be announcing. They're laying down some groundwork, I would imagine.
The PTR client for Warcraft 3 Reforged received a new build that is basically called version 2.0.
Yeah.
So that's pretty huge, because it was never any build on the PTR for Warcraft 3 Reforged or Warcraft 3 OG never had a 2.
Yeah. This is so interesting because, oh my God, are we gonna get a remake of Warcraft 3?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
But
that's too big. That's too big.
What I'm imagining, like the vibe of this announcement was like Warcraft is alive and whatever was dead is coming back. I'm mostly thinking about Warcraft 3 because they've been updating over the years, and if they do that, they're definitely gonna announce future for Warcraft. That's probably going to be 11.0. I mean, what else is gonna? They're not gonna use
because
that
there's also a tweet from Holly Longtail. Like she retweeted this. Okay, there's not much, but she retweeted the post and basically said we got some things to talk about. Now, when she says this, she was always in the not always, but in most of the Warcraft Directs, right? Yeah. When she says this, it's not about to reminisce about Warcraft history or whatever. When she has things to talk about, you can bet your ass it has to be something in regards to the future. Now, I'm not betting my money on, I don't know, Mists of Pandaria Classic or something like that.
No, I don't think
it has to be 11.1.
It has to be something that they haven't done before.
Yeah, and listen, now, 11.1, if they announce this, I'm calling it right now. If they don't, so I don't care about this time around. And this is something that never happens. But this time, I don't care about story. I don't care about setting. I don't care if it makes sense for any goddamn characters in the game. What I want in 11.1, what they should start with 11.1 is, guys, we heard you about the Mythic Plus. We heard you about the healers. We heard you about the tanks. We're fixing it. If I don't hear that in the first 10 minutes, I'm going to make a video about it. I'm going to be very pissed in that video.
Better watch that video. It is true, because those are very concerns that we've addressed for over 5-6 months, ever since they've consistently remade Mythic Plus, at least in Dragonflight, where we're losing this, we're remaking this, we're squishing down the numbers. So it's clearly that they're focused on endgame. Yet when we heard, and I personally was very sure, like, Mythic Plus is not going to be the same in the world within. Surely they have something in store to, upgrade, and the formula, because that's probably one of their biggest problems right now, is that the formula is still the same. Pretty much everything else is really cool. The story is better. The Mythic Plus in general is better. The raid is better. The classes are better. The professions are better. The open world is better in game. But what hasn't changed is the formula. So that's in the discussion of Mythic Plus. But there are definitely a lot of issues.
Because raiding is still fun.
Yeah.
Raiding, you can still enjoy it.
They're always fun gameplays, but there's only so much you can keep the game the same from expansion to expansion.
So once again, if 11.1 is announced, I'm praying that they start off with this and they just acknowledge that it's a shit show all around. And I hope they acknowledge the fact that because they had this like very much open gates to, like, I would say, more people not necessarily as accustomed to the endgame, traditional endgame of World of Warcraft. Those people got their basically head cut off when they started to get into 7s and 8s. These are people that they did delves, then they tried to do a couple of mythic plus, and you saw that chart, how many people do like keys.
The cutoff for sure.
Right? So that is like the biggest problem. Now, we've all been into pugs. It's the worst experience. It's like the worst is now. We're living the worst times in pug experience. And you thought you had it worst in previous expansions. No. So what my hope is that they acknowledge and realize and they actually keep to their guns on what they said. Like, remember when we saw that Morgan Day interview and talked about it on this show, when they said that, listen, guys, we want to make the experience of Mythic Plus much more smoother. We like to have like consistent healing, not ping-ponging all of the time. We like to tone down the nameplates all around.
It's basically
the abilities, all of that. Yeah. That never happened. In fact, it's worse now. That's the thing. It's worse.
More health bars. It's the healing is still bursty. It feels like the game is just harder, which, you know, for us that we kind of like a challenge, we're enjoying it, but there's clearly a problem getting people in. That's not going to solve, and the end game doesn't really help that. I mean, they've done that with Delve, so they clearly want to give a more casual experience to some part of the player base that doesn't want to engage in the hard end, but they made the hard end even harder now. So
the question is, do they have a purpose of segmenting the player base in the sense that, okay, if you don't want the stress and challenge, stick to delves and low keys. If you want the challenge, move up a notch, because I don't see the other purpose being that they want a nice leeway from delves to like low keys to like higher keys. And I think that would be the much more purposeful objective for them to have. Is like, okay, you take somebody like, you know, or maybe a new player of the game, somebody that just tried or returned after years and they don't understand. Oh, and I forgot to mention the gearing. I forgot to mention the whole gearing, crests, and all the currency, please. And I talked with Ian about this at Gamescom, right? And this was, you know, this was an interesting discussion. Like, they're aware. Okay, they are aware, but it's a system that they worked on for so long, and it's basically the same discussion where you had like they took so long to like actually make Warbounds a thing. And
I think from what I got from Ian as well, it feels like this solves more problems for them than them changing the systems with fix. So that's probably why they're keeping it in the game, because it was just obviously way more worse before this gearing system. And if they fix it, if they change it, the benefits wouldn't be as big anymore. So they're probably, I'm obviously they're aware of it. I mean, we already know that devs watch YouTube content about WoW. They probably already watched some of our videos, particularly maybe the ones with gearing, especially if it was a dev that was in charge of gearing systems. So they're not, it's not like they don't know. It depends on how big of a priority it is for them and how much time it would take to fix it versus how much gain they would get from, because there are a lot of people that like this. And I don't know if the people that like this are, you know, obviously the majority, and I don't know if they're part of the new player base, because I hear people come into the games like, oh, this is fine, I like it as well.
They like delves, but the general vibe, I mean, listen, man, you have to take 20 minutes out of your day and scroll to the forums and Reddit, and you will see how the general sentiment. There's like hundreds of threads talking about the experience in Mythic Plus, the experience with bugs, the experience on healing, and the experience on tanking in some capacity. So it's clearly a problem. It's clearly a pain point. I think like we can clearly see it from our community, and I'm not trying to make like general assumptions based on what our community is saying, but you can kind of reflect on what's happening. Like in most part, our community is like, you know, playing decent keys, right?
Yeah.
Some are pushing higher and higher. That's all good, and that's very cool. But you can 100% reflect this on what's happening in like the more general spaces where people talk. Sure, you have small minorities talking loud in the comment section of YouTube, right, or on streams or whatever. But if you want to get like a bigger picture, you know, you can definitely scroll through like the forums and Reddit, and there people will just have a lot more guts to make either threads or comment on threads. And there's threads with like hundreds of replies.
For sure.
So it's a real problem. We cannot really beat around the bush about it.
The forums are one aspect because not everybody uses the forums as well. And the fact, probably the one that you said the most has the biggest impact on how the state of Mythic Plus and pugging is the pugging, is the levers. Because we've been through this before. People have been leaving keys, but the thing is, the barrier of entry is so high and the punishment versus reward ratio is so skewed in the favor of punishment that you're essentially incentivizing people to leave and not engage socially with the actual content in a, let's say, gamer-friendly manner or in a constructive manner or good manners situation where you're just leaving. Because you cannot really blame them. If you're going to force somebody to stay 40 minutes in a key by losing an item, lowering their key level, wasting that time, and not getting any score, then you're essentially telling them, like, if this looks in the first 5 minutes that it's gonna fail to you, the only reason to stay here is if you just want your vault. Otherwise, you're wasting a lot of time when you can just do it again with a better group, essentially.
That, and also the fact that at this point, I'm just going to circle back with what I talked with Ian about at Gamescom regarding the gearing and the crests and all of that, right? So the general vibe was, but everybody gets it. And I think that was like a moment of disconnect, because I feel after the War Within launched, like, again, a lot of people either came in as brand new players or a lot of people have returned. Now, we get it because we've been in tune. Our people get it. Like, people who watch our videos get it, most of them. Like, people that are on our streams get it. People we play with get it, right? Because more or less they're in tune with what's happening. And, you know, if they're consuming our content, like, they know, like, what's happening with the gear. The biggest majority, like the people you will get into pugs with, the people you will at some point run into or try to make something work with within the game, they do not get it. This is it. Like, I think like the developers now believe that the existing current player base, right? They are somehow, I don't know, comfy zoning with them because, they understand the gear. I don't see no complaints.
Kind of like an echo chamber.
But they're disconnected from like the whole people that either came back with the new players that actually have no idea. And it's still a convoluted system. If you look at it from a bird's eye view, just try to put yourself in the shoes of someone who never played WoW, or the last time he played WoW, she played WoW was, I don't know, BFA. I'm not sure. Okay. And they come into the game, right? They want to do some keys. They pug some keys or whatever, +2, +3, whatever, and they start getting these currencies and they don't understand. It's too convoluted once again. And it's gated as well.
The perfect example is actually somebody in the comments right now, Faldria, saying, I was so confused about the crests, so I bought everything Vaskarn offered.
There you go.
And it caused me to lose all of my crests. Now, if you don't know who Vaskarn is the Drakthir NPC that lets you convert crests to a different crest level. And at the beginning, without any achievements, it lets you sack better crests for worse crests in case you need that. So in order to do that the other way around, you have to, fully upgrade your gear with one crest type until you don't need it anymore. And then you can translate that crest, you can convert it into a better crest. So if you don't know what's going on, because it doesn't say, and when you go, and Vaskarn is a good example. When you go to Vaskarn, he has what? Weather crests, rune crests, and gilded crests as well. None of these words mean anything to you. Like, what does weathered mean? What does rune mean? What does gilded mean anyway, right? So you don't know, because that's not indicative of what the system is supposed to tell you. So that just adds a layer of confusion because you have to learn what those words mean. You have to actually read the fine print of every quest. Like, this drops in LFR content. This drops in +3 to +7 keys or whatever, right? And you have to put that into perspective. You have to take that information, put it like, okay, +3, +7 is here, Mythic 0 is here, +7s, +10s are there. So this crest is the middle part of this whole spectrum of crests, and this is important, this is worse than this, and you have which Rune doesn't say middle of the pack, Gilded doesn't say top of the pack, right? So this is how it turns out when you add a player in. And neither of the, like, I don't know about Marcelian, but it took me a month at least of constantly interacting with the crest to understand, okay, Gilded is the one that I want the most. Ruined is just the one below that. Like, none of these words made any sense to me. The icons make no sense. The color that they chose, like anything that's designed for this is not intuitive to what I want. That's why games that do really well with this scale is like Legendary is orange, Epic is purple, anything that's like we've had the system in the game for 20 years. Easy. Like, why not just use that color palette, that naming scheme to kind of make us understand gold is better than silver, which is better than bronze. But instead we have all of these weird ass names.
Yeah. So 11.1, guys, please, if this is going to be a major announcement on the 13th of November,
sure,
has to be this, has to address this in some capacity. I would be so disappointed if it's only like a cinematic or a teaser or something. Like, they really have to address this, because at this point they know, they see the numbers. I think we also feel it. Who is playing right now after all of the honeymoon period has gone away and people got bored and did their LFR and did their everything? Who is playing now? We are playing now.
I think,
and we want some solutions. God damn it.
Those kind of announcements will connect more with the people that were actually going to watch that content, because we can try to get as many new players in the game as we want, but still those players don't really watch WoW content. They don't really know what's going on. They just log into the game, play, and whatever hits their buttons,
yeah, but
that's what happens.
I think an announcement like this will probably reach them as well. Like something.
I mean, it will. I'm not saying it won't, but the demographic for anybody that is gonna watch this announcement is probably majority gonna be players like us who are interested in this type of stuff,
yeah.
right? Who know what the problem is.
This is as opposed to like something that is being announced on Twitter or Wowhead Data Mindset.
Sure.
This is Warcraft Direct. This is they're gonna put this everywhere. There's a reason they're putting it on TikTok as well. They've never done this before.
Yeah, that was very surprising as well.
Huge crowd. Yeah, you can bet your
very
ass.
Casual crowd, I would imagine.
Yeah, very casual. And you can imagine that there's a lot of people there who probably will be targeted by this and who are not as us, consuming all of the content and information. So my bet is that, they will actually get this through a lot of people and get across it, and a lot of people will still get it. Hopefully, they're going to address this in some capacity, because once again, I feel like they did like in very traditional custom Blizzard, way. One step forward, 4 steps backwards.
4 steps back, okay.
Yeah, because you're gonna have that. You're gonna have that mount.
That's gonna be
that mount. Brutosaur mount is hanging with his balls like very, very. It's pulling it down.
It's
it's
touching all the goblins.
Another
like
step.
Moving over.
Another step. But yeah, I didn't expect to talk about the mount as well. Like, thank you, chat, for everybody in the chat who pointed it out.
On point. I didn't even have the chat on my screen. I was like trying to figure out.
Yeah, because that was pretty dope as well.
You know what's interesting of this prediction? Always. But the talk about gearing system change and Mythic Plus change, if they're gonna do it on the WoW Direct, they cannot talk about a complicated system, because nobody's gonna engage with that. Especially in a platform like TikTok. So it has to be a simplistic way for people to understand.
If they say something about that, this is I'm very concerned. I'm very concerned.
I have my doubts. I don't want to be the negative Nancy over here, so I'm not gonna say anything. But I really do hope that they address this. No matter what, be it a WoW Direct, that would be great if it is, because everybody's gonna see it and everybody's gonna be aware. But if not, then still do it. Still fucking do it. It has to be done. It's probably one of the biggest things that can make WoW fail today. When they're doing so well on story, on zone design, on raids, on classes, on professions, the biggest L's that are gonna drag the game down are these particular things. Endgame formulaic, Mythic Plus particularly being high barrier of entry, and the gearing system. They're probably like the biggest losers right now.
Yeah, no, these are our 100% biggest pain points. They have to address it, and hopefully they're gonna do it with the announcement. And with that, we have kind of like got everything covered. Everything covered.
Now I feel
plus more.
I feel better. I can actually go play Arcane now without any saltiness left in my system, because I'm gonna pee all of the rocks in my kidneys right now.
I mean, you have to still play fire, man. That's the thing. Not in the raid, because at some point
it's the only way I can play fire. AOE fire doing tank level damage and going. We didn't even talk about the fact that fire goes out of mana, man.
I mean, listen, man.
Fire goes.
Listen, Prot Paladin goes out of mana as well. Okay.
Yeah. It's, nobody cares about Prot Paladin. Though.
Show some support.
As much as I like it.
It's a lovely tank, but
I'm a masochist. I play both Prot Paladin and Fire Mage. What do you mean? I know how to pick them, guys. I just know how to pick them.
I mean, come on. I mean, you had some good picks. You had some good runs, but nobody was expecting.
I actually
Fire
locked
Mage
out
too.
on Arms Warrior and Sub Rogue when I made them at the end of Dragonflight because they were like top meta specs. Arms was like second or best melee in Amir Drusel for a very long time, and then. Well, listen, this is the way the cookie crumbles, as they would say.
Yeah. Do we have any like? I was trying to like keep on top of the chat. I don't think we missed a lot of the things.
Arja DM'd me a couple of things that we can look at.
Oh, cool. All right.
So
cool.
you guys have been pretty crazy today. By the way, this is the part of the podcast where if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, you can put a question in chat and we'll read it as best as we can. Let's see what we missed so far. Arja actually said on the DH, Focused Hatred has been fixed. More importantly, Monster Rising has been fixed. The bug was the bonus 8% agility was only applied to base and not geared equipped agility. Oh, right. So there was this talent with Havocs where...
She's talking about the fixes.
Yeah, with the buffs. So
I think we covered that in a previous episode.
Yeah, we covered it last week, I think. So basically that was what was there.
Yeah. So, it's part of it because I know it was really buggy and it was not doing the, correct amount of damage. So, we're happy for the DHs.
Yeah, in terms of enhancement, Derpalicious says it plays poorly in comparison for him. And Kongcha is saying that as an enhanced player, strangely the same or slightly weaker. So I guess it kind of rings...
I can get that sentiment. I've seen it in the chat as well. Like, not a lot of people are feeling it at the moment, but I don't think it's the end of the world. I would say, I mean, still does pretty well.
As much as we beat this dead horse with the stick, as a Fire Mage, I'm sitting back here and I'm looking at everybody complaining. It's like, guys, chill. You're not a below average spec getting nerfed. You're a top of the meta spec getting attuned.
Yeah.
Percy's actually, which I saw his, but I think we moved past the subject for me to address it. He mentioned for the distro, like the distro change was to fix a playstyle that died 2 months ago, being the single target Rain of Fire spam. So there was this on beta when they were doing the last minute raid testing. Rain of Fire and single target was such a good expenditure of your DK, of your soul shards that you just spam Rain of Fire and single target. That was degenerate, right? As you would spam Epidemic because it was a better rune.
I remember this discussion.
I thought that was fixed like months ago.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe this is just to kind of circle around and just make sure that gets killed. I don't know.
Monster Rising was only fixed this week. Oh, okay. So this is something for the DH. I've seen our job saying it there. All right, cool. Well, that's like even better then. So they had like prior fixes with this one on top.
It's good to know that they're on top of these issues. More so than maybe balancing. Fixing issues and bugs with things not working properly is probably first and foremost.
Oh, yeah. Do I reroll my warrior or retire? I'm just reading out some recent questions. I keep those open. I'm like, listen, man, if Flame doesn't reroll his Fire Mage, I think you're fine with your warrior. Okay, I don't think they got that gutted to begin with. Like, sure, you can talk about Fury, but we have a video on Fury, talking about how the nerfs affected Fury and how it's performing. So there's other issues with Fury, but I don't think, like, if you enjoy playing the spec and if you care only about DPS, sure, I mean, go ahead. But I guess like you would do a lot better if you enjoy playing the spec and, mastering it than just being flavor of the month.
To be fair, Mythic Plus, Arms Warrior is doing a little bit poorly, but Arms was mostly attacked on its single target performance and not in AoE. I'm looking at the rankings right now. But overall, the specs are decently balanced, with the exception of the top end and the bottom end, right? Where Frost DK is just crushing it and BM is just way behind everybody else. But even with that, they're very close to each other. I mean, you can check the Warcraft logs for it as well. And I'm looking at the raid version as well, mostly for holy shit, Outlaw Roll. What the right, looking at heroic. Whoa! Oh, Fire Mage is officially the second worst spec in the game in the raid right now.
Well, funny. Okay. Well, it's too early to look at logs. We're gonna look at them in a couple of next week. We're gonna look at them properly.
As with everything, take this with a grain of salt. The tuning is so proactive that likely, if it is a bad situation, you're not gonna live that bad situation for too long. If you cannot stomach playing it for a week or two, maybe swap. But in the end, you should be fine.
Yeah.
WoW needs tuning for the 3 game modes today. Raid needs 1 set of tuning. That's and Mythic Plus needs a second set of tuning, and PvP. Yeah, we've seen this before, where they tune differently for PvP, and it feels like Mythic Plus and Raids need different tuning at the end. But if you do that, then I think like that just complicates the game a little bit too much.
They do that, right? Tuning is specific for everything. Like if you're talking about tuning for classes, that's almost close to impossible. They're tuning, well, it's a big word right now, so after going through all of the class changes, but they're tuning the actual content, right? Not the classes for the content. They're tuning the content for the classes. Now, they are tuning classes in terms of like, from what I understand, when they're doing these decisions, they're taking a big pool of data from all aspects of the game. And of course, like you have your auras now, which are, you know, some knobs they address a lot of times to like tone down or buff up some specs, but they're kind of doing it already. So this is why you see nerfs to like, I don't know, necrotic wake abilities, HP pools and all of that. But I think it's like, it's a big mess right now. Now, and we didn't even mention the FPS problem. With
oh my God, that's problem, yeah. They're slowly fixing it. It feels like it's getting better each week, but I don't think we should have had these issues to begin with, and that's a problem that's been going on in the WoW combat design for a very long time. Stan is asking, if you had to redesign the playstyle of Balanced Druid, what would you do?
I guess that's a for you question.
Most likely. So my problem with Balanced Druid playstyle is that it doesn't have enough depth. And you could say the same thing about Red.
It doesn't have, indeed, it does not have enough depth. It's supposed to have a lot of dead. Yeah.
There you go. As opposed to Red Paladin, which is also a simplistic spec, it does have bursty moments. It has payoff moments where whenever you pop your wings, whenever you get your Wake of Ashes, you have those moments of like, oh yes, this is it, this is me, I'm doing the thing. Balance doesn't really have that. When they took away Arcanic Pulse, or they took away some of those moments you were building up towards where you're like, oh this is it, I'm doing the thing. Doesn't feel that way anymore, and particularly because they kept nerfing procs like Orbit Breaker. Whenever the moon falls down, that gave you like a big chunk of astral power and it did a lot of damage. They keep nerfing those moments away, and they're just like flatlining the entire balance experience, where it's just the same thing. It's just like a boring rotation, like I'm doing damage, I have a cooldown, I'm doing damage. Whenever specs like Red or Frost Decay is like, oh, I got my cooldowns back, which in Mage is the same, like, oh. So I think what they need to do with Balanced Druid, without going into specific, is give you more payoff moments, more outstanding moments, because Balanced Druid is one of those specs that has close to no RNG whatsoever. Everything is very predictable, everything is consistent and flat across the board.
Or they can give you a bucket of Popeyes.
He was been waiting to say that. Like I felt it. I felt it. I was like, he's leaning in close. He's like, I'm gonna wait for a pause. And what Flame says, like, I'm gonna shove it in the ass of Balanced Druid. All right.
No, I have love for the Balanced player Druids. Okay, this is. I don't have no problem with
the players, with the spec though.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Good redesign.
All right. In terms of Mythic Plus, some comments from Alimo. The War Within has had insane player growth, and they are met with a stone wall of elitism and meta-only mindset. And this is very good. It's incredibly hard to get new players into Mythic Plus dungeons this season. You've actually said it perfectly, and that's because they've increased the barrier of entry for so many people. Not to mention that they've definitely increased the barrier of entry way more for healers and tanks, which are crucial for your dungeons. Because you can be a shit DPS, but if there's 2 other good DPS, you're gonna make it through the dungeon. If you're a shit healer, it's over. If you're a shit tank, it's over in that key.
Pretty much. It's, again, the fact that you have a timer and you have big things at stake, you're going to get part of a response from the toxicity, which is, I believe, at an all-time high in World of Warcraft. Because, okay, toxicity is...
It's always going to
be there. So
but it doesn't help whenever... one mistake from you can ruin 40 minutes of 4 other people. Obviously, people are going to try to filter that out as much as possible, but by either not inviting you or inviting somebody that has the highest chance and probability of making that key into a successful key. So that's what creates this whole situation, this whole, if I pull the first pack in Necrotic Wake and the tank dies, clearly he's not going to survive at Stitchfest, the 3rd boss. So might as well just leave now, because this key is not going to be in time, because if it's not in time, I lose my time, I lose my item, I lose my score, I lose my key, and
I lose my sanity in the process of it. Oh dang, what did I miss? Just join. Well, see, Chris, because you are watching on YouTube, you can use the little bar and just go back and see everything that you missed. That's all good.
The emotions of WoW players.
Yeah. But it is true. Like they did a good job with the war within it. It's a sad state of affairs to just watch what's happening right now with people trying to get into the end game and getting hit by the brick wall, as they mentioned.
Oh man, there's a comment by Darkwing, which I hope he's still in the chat because I'm curious to see if you can answer this question. But he says, or she says, some of your most dedicated players are not in the forums. I've been playing since vanilla and long abandoned the forums.
Yeah, I'm not saying that the most dedicated are there. So there's, when you look at the comments on content creators channels or Twitters or whatever, those are like very small, loud minorities, and like
Sure.
I do that almost on a daily basis, just to like, you know, keep in touch and what's happening, right? And I look at a lot of other content creators like comments and stuff, but I realize that is like a very encapsulated world. However, where I see a lot more response and engagement and discussion is on the forums and on Reddit still, even though the most dedicated are not there, but I can see a lot more people coming from the more chill, the more casual zone of playing it. And I can read through that because of how they put the problem in the discussion, how they reply, what their issues are, what their pain points are. And there's a lot more there than in YouTube comments, that's all I'm saying. So for me, it's a better way to see exactly where is like the, let's say, more of the silent majority who doesn't really want to comment on YouTube videos or go into stream chats or reply on Twitters. It's a traditional place where I don't know why it gives this sentiment of, I don't know, and more anonymity, let's say, or something. It's a lot more there. It's all I'm saying. I'm not saying the most dedicated fan base is there. It's just a bigger pool of replies and experiences you can take from.
It's a good chunk of the community that probably doesn't watch content live. And also, Limo came back with an answer to what we said about the new player experience. He's saying that, thanks for answering my comment. No worries, buddy. This is my first ever season doing Mythic Dungeons as a Blood Decay tank. And if it wasn't for my friend guiding me early on, I wouldn't have had a chance. Yeah, that's
this is like, if you think about it, you know, this game still requires so many guides and so many external help to get right and to be able to be enjoyed. I think it's not even funny anymore. This should be a game where the transitioning from, you know, something very casual, let's say, or something very chill into something semi-competitive should be a lot more smoother. Should be a smoother ride.
Guiding should, let's say, if you play at like 60% of your capacity or 70%, guiding should get you to that 100%. Guiding should not help you start playing the game. That's not how a game should be. You should be able to go into Mythic Plus, kind of have an idea of what's going on, and you realize, shit, I kind of want to know a little bit more. That's probably when you might want to watch a guide or talk to a friend that's better than you and, you know, can you help me out? Like, what's going on here? But when you're like, dude, I don't understand what's happening at all here. Can you tell me what WoW is about? I think that's when we hit these problems. All right. Well, any other questions that you guys have? I see a lot of chat on YouTube.
Yeah, it's going crazy over there. It's going crazy. I see Stan having here's an idea. If you have someone who you are helping, like dungeons, upgrade system, etc., then they can rate you and count as a refer a friend progress. That's a pretty cool idea, actually. I think they tried something like this in the past. I'm not sure of the outcome of that, but that would be an interesting way to like reward players who are willing to help out people that, you know, are not that.
This sounds familiar. Didn't they do this in like League of Legends or something like that?
They also tried in WoW at some point, but they never. I don't remember anything that came out of it. So, but it's still a good idea, and it could possibly be like marking players, you know, that, you know,
you can give like a little feedback, like a thumbs up, or for, let's say you do a group in a dungeon, and at the end, I think they did it in Overwatch as well. where at the end of a match you can like give a thumbs up or highlight a player's like, oh, this guy was pretty good in my team, and that can build kind of like a repertoire. Obviously, people can abuse this and be trolls, but that's probably a smaller minority than you might think it is, because legit people, even the trolls, kind of want to have a good experience, but the trolls probably kind of gave up on having a good experience, so they're just gonna be trolls.
You're gonna be trolls because that's the lifestyle.
But I feel like if they add some kind of like, oh, this guy actually helped me, here's a thumbs up, and people can see, oh, this guy is actually a good helper, let me get that guy into it. Oh, he's playing under meta spec, but he's a good player, maybe just get him in.
Blizzard hired Stan.
There you go.
Arja is asking you to check your DM. There's probably some comment you missed or something.
Oh, it's from Darkwing. It's more the lack of critical feedback and just anger that it's not productive. Oh, on the forums. Last time on forums was probably Mop. There are definitely.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That's
but
true.
I filtered that out. I don't look at overreacting or drama. I just try to look out for like decent conversations, and usually like I can understand it from like the thread title. Okay.
Even in between those types of comments, you can see people genuinely coming in as like, hey, I kind of don't like this. Like you actually feel that people are like, oh, but is this the game or whatever? They come with like legit questions, and you can find them, and you can kind of get a sense of like, oh, a genuine and honest WoW player kind of wants this to be a little bit better, right?
Yeah. I can see a lot of people like are discussing on the whole idea with getting loot points after every boss in Mythic Plus. This from Wicked Jester.
It's a very dangerous place to go, because that will just add another layer of things that you can acquire in WoW, and it feels like there's already so much in WoW that overcomplicating systems might not be the way to go, unless they take a big step back or a step forward rather, to overly simplify the game right now, because being the over-designed game that it is right now creates all of these issues, creates a convoluted gearing system, creates a convoluted combat system where you can have FPS issues because everybody's just doing 10,000 things, and we just circle back to having the same issues, but you're just making the circle smaller instead of breaking the loop by just cutting it. Okay, we're not doing this anymore, but they keep doing it, but they're just making the circle smaller, and we still have those issues. Sure, FPS gets better over the course of a tier, but you still have FPS issues.
True, but hey guys, this has been a great episode, and I'm really happy we got to like chat it out a lot more with you out there. Remember, we will always have this on Thursdays, so be sure to be subscribed, notified, whatever you guys do to get notified when we go live and stuff. Every Thursday from what is it?
Here we go.
10 a.m. PST and 7 p.m. CET.
There you go.
I remember it.
Yeah, good stuff, man.
And also tomorrow, like always, we're gonna have Flame streaming, probably carrying on with the 20th anniversary
for
events
sure.
and
With
stuff.
all of the XP buffs, we're gonna level some tunes.
Oh man, it's the greatest time to level up, and also you're gonna have like there's a lot of buffs too. To leveling. So thank you once again for joining us. This has been episode 18. I think it's 18.
We'll call it 18.
Yeah, because it has to be legal, right?
Yeah.
This finally it's legal. If you missed a lot of it, obviously you can scroll back on YouTube. If you watched it on Twitch, don't worry. If you catched it late, don't worry. You're gonna have the full VOD on YouTube, and also gonna have some small videos made out of it for the main channel, and some interesting clips for our second channel, which is youtube.com/@Marcelian&Flame. Go check it out.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and catch you next time.
All right. Bye, everybody. Have a good night. Have a good morning. Have a good evening. The button is pressed. The button is pressed.
Oh, there's a sound. Sound is back. It was a little bit of an OBS kick. Fix. Why? I need to pee. Man. Let me pee.